Hello students. So we have 4 different type of connective tissues. Out of these 4, we have discussed about fluid connective tissue. In fluid connective tissue, we have discussed about blood and lymph. Right? Now, today we are going to talk about another category of connective tissue, that is support connective tissue. So let us start our discussion on support connective tissue, that is bones and cartilage. So first we will discuss about bones. So children, talking about bones, bone is a strong and non-flexible connective tissue. So in case of bone, the strength is more but the flexibility is less. So we will see what is the structure of bone which makes it less flexible but more strong. So we will discuss about that. The another important thing about bone, that it forms the framework of the body. So as you can see, the framework is formed of all bones. So as you can see in the picture, that is the entire skeleton of the body. It actually forms the framework. Framework means ढांचा, right? तो इस picture में भी clear दिख रहा है कि that the bones form the skeleton, and skeleton is basically what? It is the framework of our body, right? So all bones connect and make a framework, and this skeleton is finally give rise to human being, right? So now let us look at the structure of bones. Talking about the structure of bones, so again bone is also being a connective tissue, again have a extracellular matrix and some cells will be embedded in this matrix. Children, the basic structure, the basic concept of structure remains same, that there is the matrix and there are the cells. So what kind of extracellular matrix do we have in case of bones? Children, we have extremely dense matrix, and that is why bone is so hard. So that hardness of the bone is due to the extremely dense matrix which it has. Talking about the composition of matrix, so matrix is made up of calcium and phosphorus. So that is why we would have often heard that people, when they are quite old, we see that their bones are become weak and they are prescribed by doctor to take calcium tablets, and in order to make their bones stronger. So because the strength of the bone lies in extracellular matrix, and that matrix is made up of calcium and phosphorus, so when you take calcium tablets, you actually making the extracellular matrix hard, or you actually make the extracellular matrix strong, and better extracellular matrix, stronger is the bone, right? So this is about the extracellular matrix, children, because the extracellular matrix is made up of by calcium and phosphorus. So that is why when the people is getting old, so when they move towards the doctor, so doctor always prescribe the calcium tablets. Why they prescribe the calcium tablets? To make the extracellular more strong, right? Now what are the cells embedded in matrix? Right, now here we are going to talking about the cells of bones. So the bone cell which are embedded in the matrix are known as osteocytes. Osteocytes cells जो bones के extracellular matrix में embedded form में होते हैं. So this is the name given to the bone cell actually. So overall structure of bone, the cells, osteocytes, embedded in the extracellular matrix, and matrix is very dense and made up of by calcium and phosphorus. Now children, there are tiny holes in matrix which is known as canaliculi. So it is very clearly shown in the picture that there are tiny holes which is present. They are known as canaliculi, and which actually are used to communicate between the cells. So these hole actually works for the communication between the cells of bone. Now when we look at the structure of bone, we have so many bone cells, we have so many osteocytes. So these has to some mean of communication between the osteocytes, right? So that is the basic purpose of canaliculi. Now children, what happen in other connective tissues? Different cells communicate by diffusion of extracellular matrix. So किसी भी अगर group of cells हैं, so they have the communication with each other. So what is the thing which makes the communication in other connective tissue? It is diffusion. And in case of bone, there is the canaliculi. These are the hole which actually aims to communicate between the osteocytes. But in the case of bones, right, so the extracellular matrix is so dense, so diffusion of extracellular matrix is very difficult. So that is why they have these tiny holes to make the communication easy between the osteocytes, right? So this is how the bones look like. It is actually, children, the TS of bone. TS means transverse section of bone, right? So these are the cells, these are the osteocytes. This pink color structure which you see is the osteocytes, and which are embedded into the matrix, right? Matrix, the thread like structure, bears the canaliculi, and these canaliculi actually communicate between the osteocytes, and they actually connects the cell, right? So they help in the communication between osteocytes. So now let us talk about the next supportive connective tissue. So now that is cartilage. So now children, we will talk about the next important connective tissue, which is cartilage. So let us see what does the cartilage do. So firstly, what is the cartilage? So cartilage is again a connective tissue, and cartilage is a semi-transparent, elastic and flexible connective tissue, right? So this is the very important characteristic of cartilage. So flexibility is something which is missing in the bones because of very dense extracellular matrix, but here cartilage is flexible, it is again elastic, it is semi-transparent, right? Now children, the very important another characteristic of cartilage, that matrix cartilage is mature cartilage is relatively solid. Now children, cartilage is a very important have a very important role during the development of fetus. That means when a baby is born, now in prenatal stage, what happens? The fertilized egg will actually or gradually form a little baby. So when the baby is born, what do we see? It has a lot of cartilage. Now gradually, with due course of time, the cartilage is replaced by bone. When body born, it have around 270 bones, but again as a baby grows up, there are many bones which fuse together, right? And adult human beings having 204. So in the baby there are 270 bones, which as the baby matures, it becomes an adult human being, they have 206 bones, right? So cartilage replaced by bone, right? And children, that process in which cartilage is replaced by bone, that process is known as ossification. That process is known as ossification. आपने देखा होगा कि जब छोटे बच्चे होते हैं तो उनकी बोन्स जो होती हैं वो बहुत वीक होती हैं, है ना। हमारे बड़े हमें बोलते हैं कि आराम से पकड़ो, हाथ ना मुड़ जाए, बोन ना क्रैक हो जाए। वो इसलिए क्योंकि अर्लियर स्टेज में जो बोन्स होती हैं वो एक्चुअली बोन्स ना होकर के वो कार्टिलेज होती हैं, जो स्लोली एंड ग्रेजुअली एज द चाइल्ड बिकम mature they are replaced by the bones, right? And that process is known as ossification, right? Now children, talking about the next example, that is shark. And you are very surprised to know that shark का जो entire skeleton होता है, it is made up of cartilage. कार्टिलेजनस फिश होती है शार्क, उसका पूरा एंडोस्केलेटन कार्टिलेज का बना होता है, राइट। कार्टिलेज आर प्रेजेंट इन वेरी फ्यू और सिलेक्टिव एरियाज इन ह्यूमन बींग्स, अदरवाइज बोन इज प्रेजेंट थ्रू आउट द ह्यूमन बॉडी. So the very important thing is now is about the location, that where it is found. So where do we find cartilage? It is found in nose, ear, trachea, right? And it is also found covering of bones in the movable joints, right? For example, here in this picture, it is the picture of joint and you can see cartilage somewhere here. So this is the cartilage, right? So here it is acting as the covering of bones. In many movable bones you have a covering cartilage, otherwise it is found in nose, ear and trachea as shown in these pictures. In talking about the ear, so where you put earrings, soft hard area, so that is actually made up of by cartilage, right? Similarly in nose and trachea, where cartilage is present permanently, right? So what is the function of cartilage, right? Now here we are going to talk about the function, the purpose of cartilage. So the very important purpose of cartilage is that it maintains shape and flexibility of the organ and also support the structure, right? So flexibility क्या होता है? Twist and turns, right? So now let us look at the structure of cartilage. अभी हमने बात करा था characteristic और function की, अब हम बात करते हैं structure की. Let us talk about the structure. Children, as I mentioned before, we saw when we talk about bones that bone do not have much of flexibility, whereas cartilage is quite flexible. This difference in flexibility of bone and cartilage arise because of the difference in their structure. यही तो बताया था शुरू में कि जितने भी कार्टिलेज हैं इनमें वेरिएशंस क्यों होती हैं, ये इतनी वैरिड फॉर्म में क्यों प्रेजेंट है, बिकॉज ऑफ द चेंज इन कंपोजिशन, राइट. So in the case of cartilage and bones, the difference in flexibility of bone and cartilage arise because of the difference in their structures. So let us look that how is the structure of cartilage. So again, like any other connective tissue, the basic structure remain the same. Extracellular matrix is there in which cells are embedded. So let us see what kind of extracellular matrix does the cartilage have, right? Because cartilage are quite flexible. There is a solid matrix in cartilage and it is made up of by proteins and sugars. प्रोटीन और शुगर का बना हुआ कार्टिलेज होता है, वो मैट्रिक्स होता है. बोन्स में कैसे होता है, कैसा हमने डिस्कस किया था, एक्सट्रीमली डेंस, not able to communicate, not able to move. Cartilage are better than bones. They are made up of by protein and sugars. What are the cells embedded in the matrix? So children, cartilage cells which are embedded in matrix are known as chondrocytes, right? So the cells of the cartilage are known as chondrocyte, right? So these are the structure of chondrocyte, that how the chondrocytes look alike, right? So in the next video we will discuss about the another very important type of connective tissue, that is the dense connective tissue. Till then, have a nice day and thank you.